Hey, everybody, welcome to KISS.
Keep it simple, sister.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Samantha.
I'm trying to do something different. That wasn't very different.
No, that was perfect. I loved it. I
Oh,
love everything you do.
thank you. Oh,
I'm
ditto.
your cheerleader. Woo, woo.
Well, I want to welcome everybody to the KISS podcast. This is where we help people feel great by feeling better. And so, what Diana and I are doing, we're teaching everybody, or we're sharing, we're discussing, we're ruminating about all the tips, tricks, techniques, and products that we have used lo these many years that have helped us to just become the shining, bright, effervescent examples of positivity that we've become.
On the daily.
You guys have no idea how much I love just riffing on this. I'm
Okay.
I'm sitting there blowing it bigger and bigger going, "Can I own this? Can I really
Yes.
own this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can own it, but oh my God." It's
Yes, you can. So today's topic is, I forget. Oh, awakening, because we were talking about Samantha is a published author, part of a book, and is it
just
called The
the joy.
Awakening Story?
It is.
Awakening stories. So one of them is her story, and I'm really excited about getting it to read it because she's talked to me about some of these other people that also are friends of hers, and I get to see what their awakening stories are. And Dr. Allison Brown is she and Will Brown are the ones that do the Out on a Limb podcast with Samantha, which is
Mhm.
also another cool podcast. If you're not watching that, you
Or
should
like metaphysically kind
check it
of
out.
in
Yeah.
interviews with metaphysical practitioners and
Yeah, which is cool. And then they talk about all kinds of medical metaphysical stuff. We do too, but on like a kindergarten level. They're talking about the stuff on a let's say
like you're in the deep end.
a doctoral level.
No, I do love that. That's a good way to put it. Because you and I are focusing so much on the elements of what you can do to make your life a more positive experience. And then we got to go into the woo because there's
Because that
forces
helps.
behind that are affecting you. And it's like
Yeah.
we can't tell you part of it and then not tell you some of the other part because you can be like, okay, so example was me getting so into like positivity and and money's going to come to me and all this stuff, and then just discovering from the whole Pluto transit thing that no matter how hard I tried, I was in this period of nope, you're doing karmic lessons, you're fulfilling karmic cycles and so forth, and you just need to get through this long 16-year process. And coming out of it just being like now I feel like everything's possible, like it's crazy. So we want to explain all of those kind of background elements so that you understand, I was about to say it's not you, but it is you because you're the one that set it up and chose to come in at a specific time, so you're going to feel the
Right.
influences.
Right. And for us to realize that these things are happening for us, not to us.
Mhm.
Which is a good reminder all the time. Like when the stuff hits the fan.
The shit hits the
Yeah,
fan.
the shit.
Just
When the
say it.
shit hits the fan, well, in the other podcast, I said the F word many, many times. But
I forgot
for
to
those
edit
of
it out.
you who didn't, and she forgot to edit it, but I think it's really funny. And this is the protective thing that we were
The
talking about. It goes
prophylactic.
prophylactic that goes on. Now you can hear the difference on the microphone, and that's what I was looking for while I was cursing. And I thought she was going to take it out, but she didn't. But I think that we shouldn't take things out anymore because you guys can just hang with us.
Yeah, we're gonna
Hang
just
with
try to
us.
let it roll unless it's a really big deal. I know I'd left parts in about a spider being over my head one day.
Yeah.
But there's so many times when we're just kind of like, oh, your lipstick, or oh, this thing, or the dog's barking, and it's like, of course, we're doing this from our homes. Life
Right.
is happening around us. We don't need to be perfect.
Yeah, we're not gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen. So anyway, we were talking about the awakening stories, and then we were talking kind of about my awakening, or kind of the process, and I was it's been happening for 2 years, 3
Well,
years?
it always happens longer, like when you really start to it was interesting because I was talking about this book and then I was like, well, but Diana, you've been going like we hadn't ever really talked about the fact, like we've said, oh wow, look how much you've grown. Okay. But we've never really discussed it from the aspect of you're awakening, like you are moving through that space. And what has your journey been? And so I think when you start to look back, you realize there are elements that go back further, possibly, more than likely, that help you to ground yourself and get you into a space of the beginning parts of the education of, you
Yeah.
know, like it doesn't necessarily, maybe for some people it comes all on at once. And then I think you would have
People
a
that I've
crisis.
talked to, it's been kind of a process, and sometimes
Mhm.
things happen faster or slower or whatever. Um, and I think there's so many of us going through this now.
Yeah.
We think it's just happening to us, but it's happening to so many people, and there are nuances. There's differences in everybody's awakening story, I think. Because
Yeah.
I've been sharing with some other friends of mine, and they were asking about you and about me, and I was asking about them. And so when you compare these, the journeys that each of us have taken, um, they're different, but there's a commonality. There's a thread through that I it's really interesting. I just think it's really interesting. And
Mhm.
I've always been that lifelong learner kind of chick. Um,
Yeah.
and so many people that are our age or, like around our age that are part of our podcast family, I feel like, are in that same stage of life as we are. We're empty nesters. We might be grandparents. We might not be grandparents. We might have but we're at the point where we can examine things and spend some time looking at some of this stuff and hopefully making our life a little easier and more interesting. That's
Well,
kind of the
it's
way I look at it.
yeah, and it's also part of that. Like I think that people tend to put their um, major growth in on the beginning, like the middle part of our lives. But that's not to say that people don't have stuff still going on, like we're always learning and growing. And some people may, tip it to the towards the older years, but I tend to think, or what I've witnessed is for women, because we're speaking to women,
Yeah.
is that it tends to be where we have been the nurturers, we have given so much of ourselves, and somewhere along the line we've lost touch of who we really are. And like the little girls that were fun and flirty and we're just kind of ready to take on the world, and it's like we just get subjugated sometimes by life. A lot of times we just kind of do it to ourselves, because we think this is the way we're supposed to be, or
That's
because
what
you have to be.
society kind of says that, yeah, that's the way we're programmed.
Yeah, and
I'm
then
unprogramming though. I mean, like,
well, that's what these years are for. It's like to sit there and that's why they say it's so much fun because you get to take off that, I don't want to say cloak of responsibility. You still have to be responsible, but it's like just stop giving a crap. Like,
well, and you
you don't have to look
realize
perfect.
that I used to love running into older women who did not give a crap about anything. I love those people. Like, and I always have. And now I'm becoming that person, and I love her too.
Uh-huh. Yay. Good. Well,
Yeah.
and Pamela Anderson, I think, she's doing a really good job of like she's decided she's discovering who she is. She stopped wearing makeup. She's owning, of course, she's still, bodily very attractive. And I mean, just she's still attractive.
Yeah.
Um, but it's liberating for so many women to have these people who are the icons, because
Yeah.
like Jane Fonda, it's like everything she could stretch and pull up and pull back and whatever she could do to keep that appearance, but to have someone else who, did the whole rock and roll party hard kind of thing
Yeah.
begin to become organic about their lives. And
Well, and I would love to see more people do that because there's so many actresses and singers and people like that that you see that are kind of our contemporaries that don't look like themselves at all. They're unrecognizable,
okay, so
some of them.
my people are calling me on this, so I am going to state this out, is that yes, Diana and I are part of this close-knit group of people that call themselves the Toasted Almonds. And it's called the Toasted Almonds because we have been using the toasted almond filter when we do little reels and stuff.
Mhm.
And the thing is, yes, admittedly, I do that because when someone's pulling up my reel of information that I'm giving to them, if I'm looking without makeup and I appear, I do feel like they're not going to want to focus in on listen, and the message is important to me. So I want to do everything I can to draw them in. So yes, I'm using a filter that makes me look like I beautified a little bit. Just a little bit, but enough. So there is a marketing purpose to that. But
Right.
for the most part, I'm going to show up like, and I tend to put on a little bit of eye stuff because I feel like I blah out, and that's for me.
Well, and we always text each other. See you in a few on beautifying and beautiful. Like I don't wear makeup on the daily. Sometimes I'll put a little mascara on, but that's pretty much it. And that's why I was the one who started with the toasted almond, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I think so.
I started that on my reels because it made me look like I had makeup on, and I don't do a lot. Like I don't do a lot of foundation. I don't do it, but you see me with a little bit of makeup on here, and we're not using a filter on our podcast. But sometimes when you see us, and our lighting is good and all of that, so the toasted almond kind of helps make it a little more appealing. I think I don't know. It makes me feel like when I look at myself, I look good.
More palatable?
Yeah, 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 exactly what you were saying. Absolutely.
Well,
Uh,
again, yeah, because I think it's like we don't want to detract from the message.
right. But I don't want to be that person to that goes to get plastic surgery. I'm just not going to be that person. And I don't want to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think, a lot of us are not into that.
Hmm.
But I would like to see it be more acceptable with these people that we look to as beauty icons and stuff. So, I don't know.
Okay, well, that
I
was
think
a
they
little
feel
rabbit
like
hole.
that's how they're gonna make their money. Okay, so back to the awakening
So
story.
I'm going to interview Diana about her awakening story, because we just started thinking, when did this start? Okay, so because Diana has been through her trials, we've talked about it. She's still dealing with trials in her life, but it's getting easier all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah, and things
And
are coming together that I didn't think would come together, so that's
Mhm.
exciting. And we haven't really been talking about the flip side, but again, there's flip side after flip side after flip side because that's what I concentrate on
Yeah,
and look for the positive, the things that will make me feel better about whatever's going on.
yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so what is your basis of where you would say pre-awakening? What even
Well,
led
and what
you
I
in?
was trying to figure out, because we've been talking about this for a couple of days, and I made myself a little list. I feel like I've always kind of wanted to believe the best in any situation. So then I saw the movie The Secret, and I that's what started it all. Um,
That was pre-Abraham?
yeah, and I don't remember what led me to that, but for some reason I watched The Secret. And The Secret's all about manifestation, and Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks and Abraham Hicks were on The Secret. So
Hmm.
that's what led me to look that up.
Okay.
And so those of you who don't know about Abraham Hicks, you can find it on you can find them on YouTube, him, her, them on YouTube.
Yeah,
And they're
Esther
little
Hicks,
15-minute,
yeah,
yeah, Esther Hicks
channels,
channels, what they call Abraham
the
Hicks.
collective.
And
Yeah,
it's a collective of multidimensional whatever.
yeah.
Um, and in a funny, like tongue-in-cheek kind of way, the messages come through. And so that just really kind of spoke to me. And so I was drawn into it. And
Hmm.
a lot of times, and Samantha and some of my other friends give me a hard time about I need to stop multitasking all the time and I need to try and be present and whatever. But what I started doing was when I was taking a shower in the morning, I would listen to the Abraham Hicks on YouTube. And
Hmm.
that kind of gave me my my kind of message for the day and things to think about or whatever.
Yeah.
So I started doing that with Abraham Hicks, and I can't even remember how many years ago. It's probably been 6 years ago, 5 years ago. It's been a long time. I was listening to Abraham Hicks long before I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a long time. And then before any of that happened, or before I met you, I hooked up with somebody else who also knew about Abraham Hicks, and she invited me to Connecticut to a live. They do these things in the hotel rooms, like in the big, conference area.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was in the front row with Esther Hicks, and it was really cool. We just drove to Connecticut. We saw from Maryland. We saw this show, and from that point on, I was hooked. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so fantastic." And, of course, there were some groupies there. There were people that had been following her for years and years, and
Yeah.
they're special. I mean we're all special in our own way, but
Yeah.
they were groupies, like groupies for a rock
Taylor
star
Swift.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. So that was really interesting, and I, um then I ended up going on an Abraham Hicks cruise, or an Esther Hicks cruise, which she does several times a year. And then the whole boat was full of the special people, which is kind of cool because it's a real high energy
Yeah.
group of people. Like they're all awakened, and and I learned about polyamorous. Didn't know about that. That means that you may be with one person, but you might be with other people, and you might be with girls, and you might be with boys. And anyway, one of the people that I met was polyamorous, and I was like, okay, whatever. Then I also learned about um mushrooms and psychedelics and that kind of stuff, because that same person was really into mushroom. I really loved her. She was fabulous,
Ah,
but she has a whole different outlook on everything in life than I did. So I was kind of like, there's a whole lot out there that I don't know anything about. And isn't this interesting?
yeah, that
I'm
really
not going
is.
to be polyamorous. I'm probably not going to multi-dose myself. I might, you never know. Not multi, mini,
Micro,
micro.
micro
Probably
dose.
not going to microdose, but I might. I don't know.
And I'll
I'm not
call it
counting it
multi-dose
out.
if I want to.
Yeah, I'm not counting it out.
Uh,
So, and all of this was happening right when I was retiring from teaching.
mhm.
So I retired at 51. I had 30 years in. I started right out of college.
Yeah.
And at that point at 51, I was like, well, what else is there? I want to work. I just can't do the teaching thing anymore. And it wasn't the kids, it was the politics and the testing and the all of it, all the
Yeah.
bull shit. And I'm just going to say bullshit. Um so I got my
Power to
insurance.
the
It's
Diana.
right. I got my insurance license, and I was selling life and health insurance.
Hmm.
And I got involved with a company called Legal Shield, which what is like prepaid legal stuff. So all of that, kind of was filling my time, making a little bit of money. Then I started, and actually, Rodan and Fields is the skincare stuff that I use and that I was selling. That's how I met the girl that went to Connecticut with me. So
Ah,
somehow we kind of, got together, and were interested in the same stuff.
yeah.
And then I went in. So I'm an MLM girl, multi-level marketing. Just because I share everything. Like if I find something that I like, I started with Tupperware long ago. If I find something that I like, I want to tell everybody about it, and I want them to try it too, because if I like it, I mean, you'll like it too, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, that's how I got involved in some of those things that led me to people along the way that have opened me up to different experiences.
Hmm.
And so all of that led me to the Legal Shield, led me to the EMF, and I forget what that stands for, but that's how I met Samantha.
Yeah.
Um, the program, our whole yeah, what,
Peter Sage taught
yeah,
teaches it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it opened up things about for me at least. I think Samantha had other experiences before that. For me, it really opened my brain And the universe led me to Samantha. Like the first time I heard or saw her, I was like, I need to be friends with her. We're going to be friends. And so I asked for us to be partners, and then we got to know each other. And that's how this whole podcast came to be, our friendship, I think. But it was really exciting for me because I didn't know any of this metaphysical stuff. Like I had
Mhm.
no idea, and I was soaking it up like a sponge. Like I was like, I cannot wait for us to learn the next thing and for me to talk to Samantha about it. And what does she know about it? And what, wow, and ooh, and
Yeah, and
ah,
there's times that Diana's so excited about something, and I'm going, well, yeah, I'm familiar with that, but I see it presented in a different way. Or, I'd always have a different perspective on
uh-huh.
a lot of this stuff because I'd been exposed already to so much, but it still filled in, some holes of knowledge and different ways to look at things, some techniques and stuff. So it was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
But
And
but
it's
you
not
soaked up
always,
everything, like just like, yeah, like a sponge. Like you were just like, give me more, give me more.
well, and I was ready for it, I
Yeah,
think.
you
And
were
I think
prime.
so many of us maybe beat ourselves up a little bit. Like you know, who am I to try and figure all this stuff out?
Yeah,
But we
that's
all are. I
interesting.
mean, we all
Yeah.
are at our own rate and at our own pace. And
Hmm.
some people aren't available for it, and that's fine.
Yep.
But I want it. I want it all. I want to know. I want to know today. I want to know right now. I want to figure out what else I need to know.
Well,
But
yeah,
that
and
has led me along the way to meet different people who were on the same journey or a similar one,
hmm,
but have like taken off roads and offshoots that weren't where I was supposed to be, which is really interesting to me.
yep. I love that.
All right, so I think I got us up to now. Oh, also
Hmm.
Mel Robbins. Like I was real big into like self-improvement stuff there for a while, and I love YouTube because you can go on there and find whatever it is you want to find.
Yeah, there's
Um,
no excuse to say, oh, I
so
don't have
there's
access to inspiration. Yeah.
exactly. And then most recently I got involved with listening to Next Level Soul, which is Alex somebody or another. But what drew me to that was near death experience. He was interviewing people who had near death experiences. And I always joked about having a near death experience, but I do believe that that happened to me, but I don't remember it like these people do.
Hmm.
But I think we talked before. I had a teratoma, a hairy tooth tumor that was attached to my heart and my lung, and they had to do open heart surgery and remove it. And it was probably about the size of a grapefruit, maybe big navel orange. It was big.
Craziness.
Um, and I think that I had a near death experience, but I always made it a joke, like, oh, and my near death experience, blah, blah, blah. So when I heard them talking about that on YouTube, I was like, well, I wonder if other people let me listen about their near death experience. I don't remember all of the details that many of them shared. Um, but that was another kind of inroad to all of the things, all of the metaphysical things.
Yeah, and it's funny because you at times you don't see how it's creeping up on you. You don't see how your life is becoming more and more this way. It's like I was talking to someone about it where, I was saying to them, I remember the really organic-y granola kind of people back in the 80s, the 70s, the 80s and stuff. And just kind of like thinking, yeah, I'll never be like them. I'm not into, like rocks are pretty. I don't know anything about crystals and, oils and all this kind of stuff. And now I'm looking around at my office and everything, and I've got tons of crystals and stuff. And, and I'm just like, I can't imagine my life not, I don't know how to be any other way but this way. This has been my
Yeah.
journey. So, you have suddenly arrived at a time and you were going through, the thing is, much of your growth has been through a really intense period of your life where
Yeah.
it's like what was happening right in front of you, around you, concerning, your husband, that it's like you needed breathing space. You needed, so it was almost to me, when I look at you, it's almost like you were struggling to get oxygen. And
Exactly,
this was
exactly.
your oxygen.
Yes, exactly. And it's almost like every time so I didn't keep on going into I met a really good friend who was also had another friend about Reiki, and I went to try Reiki because I had sciatic nerve pain really bad.
Mhm.
And then there's a metaphysical anatomy dictionary that we have that
Yeah.
talks about how emotions cause you to have physical issues. And then I went to Reiki, and then I found out that I'm very sensitive to crystals because it was part of my Reiki experience, and that helped me, and it got rid of my, so all of these things, it's the oxygen, but also it's let me find a solution
Oh
that's
yeah.
not your typical, let me go to the doctor and get a pill for something.
Yep.
The whole awareness that everything is energy and energy is out there, and that there are these other, I used to call people tree huggers when you were talking about the, hippy dippy, all of that stuff. But
Hmm.
now that I look at the song The Age of Aquarius, like all of these things, as I'm opening myself up to astrology and to all the metaphysical stuff,
Hmm.
they were just way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
now I'm catching up a little bit, and I'm like, they're not as flaky as I thought they were. Well, maybe they were flaky. They were flaky in terms of what society was expecting of people at that time, but
yep.
they really had a lot of it figured out.
Yeah. Oh, and the thing is, it's just that we weren't quite, as a society,
Ready
like they
for
were
it yet.
beginning to nudge on the edges of that, and bless them for doing it because boy, there was a lot of ridicule there.
Yeah,
And now it's just like it blows my mind. Like it would amaze you how many people, like if you just open up and start talking about it, like just set down the ego, get out of the space of fear, rejection, all that kind of stuff, and start to express, hey, I've been looking at crystals. Or isn't it weird how, when you read astrology, like it seems to really apply. And or I've been following this person on, YouTube that shares all of this stuff, these interviews about these people who've had experiences, and you'll be surprised at your friends who sit there and go, like, it's almost like a dirty secret. It's like, yeah, I've been listening too.
yeah,
We're all becoming so much more connected because we're opening up and sharing that we're all seeking this higher guidance. We know there's something more. We don't understand what it is,
yeah,
but once you start to consume it, it's like a never-ending hunger.
yeah.
The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, and you keep thinking you'll come to the end of it, and it just keeps mushrooming out bigger and bigger. And it's such a fun journey, and it's filled with light and laughter and fun and such cool friendships.
Oh, yeah. And what I've found through my experiences with Samantha is, I'll talk to friends, old friends, new friends, about what she does and when she does it. And, like I have a good friend who lost her mother or lost her father and then lost her mother. And I wanted to help her connect with her mom and dad. And so I was like, I need you to meet my friend Samantha because she might help you with this or whatever. And then as we're sharing, she and so many other people were talking about different experiences that they've had throughout their lives where they were empaths and they were connecting with, I don't want to say ghosts, but spirits or whatever. They had experiences that they didn't want to share with anybody else because they thought people would think they were crazy. And as it turns out, all my friends are crazy. And I am crazy too.
That
And
is,
that's fine.
and I'm good with that. And
But
I thought,
so many of us don't want to share with other people because we're worried that they will judge us, when come to find out we're all kind of thinking the same thing and we're interested in the same thing.
well, and I think that like religious beliefs, I think interfere so much.
Absolutely.
And I think that so much of that has come around because um, you know, there is some beauty in religion for sure. I mean, just, wonderful guidance gets you to think deeply, like any other tool out there of growth. Like it is amazing, but it is constructed, the trappings of it are constructed by man during a period of time that was very masculine, energy driven. So the
It's
need for
based on fear,
control,
and
yeah,
it's based on fear.
and power that they
Mhm.
don't want you to know, they don't want you to have access to your guides. They don't want you to, peer behind the curtain because then you don't need them. And yeah, so
Right.
there's so much of that. So, like you take it now to today, it's, people have stepped like aside from that and they can have more, have that religious experience, but now contain more of the woo-woo
Uh-huh.
and be okay with it. But then there's individuals that they're going to shut down. They're going to, just say, nope, I can't hear this. This is wrong. And it's like, you just have to realize that's a limitation that they've put on themselves.
Well, and so many people in this awakening experience have to fight that within their families, especially the older generations. Um, i- i- they're not accepting of it because that's the way they were raised, and that's their paradigm, that's their awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and they out of love want you to keep following the rules, keep following what the church says, keep following what society says, keep following all those things. And all of us need to kind of question it. Like,
Yep.
and the thing that's really blowing my mind now is the whole conspiracy theory thing. Like all of the stuff that people were talking about, the man in the foil hat and oh, it's this person's a conspiracy. La, 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 la.
Yeah.
Those things are coming about, that the things that they wondered about are actually true.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that people are opening their eyes and realizing that these people who were crazy
Mhm.
knew things that other people didn't know, or guessed about things, or wondered about things that other people didn't
Well,
know.
and I think it's very arrogant for us to sit there and just turn on people the way that we do. Like there is most often a grain of truth in just about anything. And we've talked about perception of realities, right?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that there are people who are perceiving, you take people who are schizophrenic and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is, yes, there are things that can kind of cross in the mind and the brain and stuff. And true, that does happen. But there are I don't know, I can't sit there and say, oh, there's more preponderance of this, but there certainly is evidence of people who've been categorized as schizophrenic and that they need medication when they're actually speaking to individuals beyond what we can see or feel or hear. And they have those extrasensory perceptions. And so they're seeing it, and everybody's, it's like somebody who can see souls, like just in front of you. It's they're called, crazy, and you need medication, and so it makes them feel even more um not discombobulated, but I'm sure it does, but I mean, disconnected from the 3D reality and stuff. So there's so much more to all of this that we need to have grace for everyone's experience, but especially now with all the awakening. I love when you said, that you opened up, started talking about it, and discovered that your friends are just as weird and crazy as you are. Like we're all
Well,
moving
and
into that
so
space.
many of them, when they talk to because, I was the teacher. I was the girl who followed the rules. I was the rule follower. And I think so many of especially my friends from a long time ago, think that I know that, like I've researched things. I know things. I'm a smart girl. If I'm accepting of this, then they're not crazy.
Mhm.
Well, I yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I'm giving credence to them, but also they're fighting it. That their husband is like, "Get over yourself," or their mother is like, "Come on, people are gonna think you're a wackadoodle," or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, I just think it's a time when we can share with other people and realize that we're all kind of on the same journey. Maybe
I
not all of us, but most of
love
us.
that.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful and so true. And that's a good place for us to stop today.
Yes,
If you're good with that. I mean,
I'm
I
good
just
with it.
oh my God. I just this was so good. There's so many of the times that like there's a balance between us sharing information, and there are times when it's more like, me sharing a lesson and you kind of adding the color of, the instances and so forth, and it's so much fun when I'm able to just ask you and have you share all the stuff that you've, because there's so much stuff.
Well, and there's so much more than I could share, and every day it's a little bit more.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I find something else, something else, something else.
And we will, like, we just got to start like adding more of that stuff in, because if you guys, like, yes, I've been in this for a long time, but if you guys saw how Diana just lights up, like it is, I don't know how you haven't lost your mind, because it's been one thing after the next, awareness, awareness, awareness. Like it's so freaking cool.
Yeah, it's fun, but
Uh,
I have to be open to it. And I think
yep.
that's the message that I have for everybody. Stop shutting yourself down. Be open to it.
Mhm.
Play, observe.
It's so
Let's see
much
what's
more fun.
happening.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, so you guys, Diana was saying about the um to help me plug my book at the beginning. I
I'm
am,
so excited to read it.
yeah, there's like 20, I think 22 authors. And you can get this book through me. I am going to be putting out some promotional stuff about it, and people have been like, what are you going to sign it? Are you going to do this? And I think I'm going to offer something a little bit more than that. I think I'm going to offer people time with me if they purchase it, just so they can ask questions, they can dig deeper, they can better understand the experience that they're having. And I think that's far more valuable than my signature. Like, who am
Well,
I?
I think you signature and you also
And I also do that.
offer.
Okay.
Well, and those of you that are watching us and are part of this group, if you haven't spent time with Samantha, do it. She keeps giving like she's got tell about your
So yeah, we've got the Life Design
our
Group
free group.
experience. Yep, that happens every Wednesday, but you've got to pay attention, because sometimes it'll be, I might do it earlier in the day instead of the evening. And I'll announce that in the group. And if you miss it, then you're going to show up and no one will be there.
But
Um,
it's recorded, right?
It is recorded, and the link to the group, I was having people sign up, but I'm simplifying, reducing barriers to them getting on. So the link will be in the Facebook group, or yeah, in the Facebook group, on a pinned post up above. Um, and so 6 o'clock Wednesday evenings, or possibly noontime on Tuesdays, because I'm thinking of doing noon, or not Tuesdays, Wednesdays, because I'm thinking of doing noon this coming Wednesday, because we've got Thanksgiving the next day.
Yeah, but
And
when
I
they're
think,
hearing this, it's probably going to
oh,
be
yeah, that's true. That's
past,
right.
maybe.
Okay.
So
So
really
erase
just
that. Never heard it.
um so just pay attention in the Facebook group
Yeah.
because you'll be able to see because you're still kind of feeling it out and seeing when the most people can be live on there and
Mhm.
but there's real value. I haven't been able to be live, but I've listened to everything that you've done so far and there's real value in even just listening afterwards. But it'll be fun to be able to interact.
Yes, to be able to ask your questions, because I'm taking people's questions to actually help move them forward. And that's the advantage of being a part of, the KISS podcast group and interacting with us and stuff. So
Yeah.
yay.
Yay. All right, and real quick,
Mhm.
Morvita Moringa. Buy some. So I have a friend who says that I just keep saying it works. It's great. Just do it. I'm gonna tell you why. It has it has all kinds of vitamins and minerals and aminos and um, I want to say peptides, but I'm not sure if that's true. Um, but it really makes you feel good, guys. And now around holiday time, we all get a little bit run down. I don't know about you, but as a teacher, it felt like every time there was a break, I got sick because I had time to be sick, maybe. I don't know. But I would definitely be drinking this at least once a day, twice a day, especially if you're around like when your family gets together for holiday things. They've all had interactions with all kinds of everybody, and you don't want to be sick during the holidays. So for the immune support more than anything, I think this time of year it's really important. But it tastes good and you look good, helps your hair, helps your teeth, helps your nails, helps your everything. You might not have as much energy as me, but you might
Love that.
try it. You'll
Link,
like it.
Yep, the link's down below. So you guys will see it's sponsor link. So definitely check below for that. And you can see where the link to the KISS podcast group is. I was about to say Cod Piss group. That's really bad.
That's a good
The
one. I like
KISS
that.
podcast group. And then also links to my website and any special deals going on and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and we're also available to answer any questions about those link things. Either send us a message or put a message in the podcast group, and we'll definitely, get you the information that you need or want.
We're available.
Yes, we are. We're here for you.
But for now, we're going to say goodbye. See you next time.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye.